Welcome, and thank you for joining us today for this video on Viking Non-GMO Soybeans. My name is Mac Ehrhardt, and I am the chairman of Albert Lee Seed. I'm joined today by Jake Hansen, who's our product manager. Jake, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Thank you, Mac. Yeah, my name is Jake Hansen, like you said. I've been with Albert Lee Seed now for 15 years. In the past 10 or so of those years, I've been serving as our corn and soybean product manager, working very closely with Mac and other genetic reps in the industry, kind of building what we feel is a very strong portfolio of conventional soybeans here that we'll talk about today. I really think that these are extremely strong. They compete with anything out there, traded or otherwise.
Thanks, Jake. And in this section, we're going to talk about Viking conventional non-GMO soybeans from 0.8 to 1.7 maturity, and we'll dive right into some product here.
All right. Kicking off here with a couple of earlier options, the earliest options we have here. Starting off with Viking 0821 at a 0.8 maturity. This has been a tremendous bean for us. I want to say we're in year 4 or so with this bean. It was kind of developed in that what I call a tri-state area, Minnesota, North and South Dakota. They call it a 0.8. As you move it south, which you certainly can do, into southern Minnesota or northern Iowa, it will act like about a 1.0 or so. It tends to flex just a little bit, but it maintains that height. This is really an outstanding yielding variety, regularly competing with even Group 2 soybeans planted in the same area at the same time. Obviously, it's going to finish out a little earlier, but great standability, very strong IDC. Excellent western movement as we push it into the Dakotas. Very, very strong there. I've seen it as far west as south central North Dakota. Maintained its height and performed very well even as it got onto dryland acres. So overall, just a real strong performer that we feel you can plant it south as an early option to get out if you want to get some ground out early, or as that replant option. We've seen it planted as late as July 4th in here in southern Minnesota, and still perform and still bring very strong competitive yields.
Just add one thing. Thanks, Jake. Nice description of the variety. With the advent of more and more cover cropping occurring across the Midwest, farmers are often looking for beans that they can either plant later so that they can leave a cover crop in the soil longer in the spring, or plant earlier or plant on time and then harvest early to give them more time in the fall to plant their winter rye or whatever they're going to use for a cover crop in the fall. And we are looking for all the time, we're evaluating varieties for their ability to handle that. Both varieties on this page actually do a really nice job of being either moving south of zone to get harvested early or being moved south of zone as a replant type soybean. Not all the varieties are equal in that department, so please ask your dealer or ask us if you have questions about a particular variety, but it is something we're on the lookout for.
Yep. Thanks, Mac. Next up here, the 1223 at a 1.2. This is one I feel is very, very true to maturity compared to that 08, which tends to flex a little bit. But again, great southern movement. We've seen it planted down here in southern Minnesota very regularly, even as just an early planted option. Great branching ability. I've noticed the past couple of years when I'm walking fields and plots, it doesn't quite hold its height as well as the 08 as it moves south, but it branches really well. So it still fills up a row. It still doesn't have a problem doing that, but it does a lot of those same things. It handles drought very well. It handles diseases very well. And it's been a really strong performer from eastern South Dakota all the way through Wisconsin in trials. It's just been very, very strong and consistent these last few years since we launched it. As we say, from 21 to 24 that we've been looking at this bean, it's always been consistent, competing with the best other traded and non-traded options out there. I feel like you can plant either one of these with great confidence that they're going to do well for you.
Yep, and we've been selling both of these for, or I guess 1223 is relatively new. It's probably its third year.
Yep.
But enough experience with them to know, as Jake said, you can plant them with confidence. They've proven themselves not only in yield trials in our internal yield trials, also in public trials like FIRST trials and university trials, but also on farms.
Yeah. Next up is a little bit newer 1.5 called 15B5. For those of you that remember the 1518, this is a direct replacement for that, and again for a really good reason. And it's adding anywhere from 4 to 5 bushels consistently across locations over the old 1518. A little bit stronger disease tolerance on this one, specifically to white mold. 1518 had a little bit of an Achilles heel to that disease, and I think this 15B5 replaces or fixes that. One other thing of high note on this 15B5, we call it right out there in that last bullet point, is it does have the Peking gene for cyst tolerance. I know historically there's been a little stigma behind that Peking gene that it brings a little yield drag. Well, I think that we can throw that stigma out anymore. I think they've really fixed that. The breeding work that has been done with it has been exceptional, and this bean is proof of that. Really like how this one performs across locations, again, doing a lot of the same things that the 1518 did, medium bushy plant, a little bit taller, and I think better overall stress tolerance that I think is a nice addition, a nice strengthener to that mid-group 1 lineup.
Good. I'll talk a little about the 1700, which is a different style of soybean. So this is a soybean specifically for the high protein yellow hilum food grade market. Couple things here. You'll see it's sold in a different unit size. So the 15B5 is sold 140,000 seeds per unit. So that's, if you buy a bag, you're getting 140,000 seeds. If you buy a tote bag, you're getting 40 times 140,000 seeds. Where the 1700 is sold by 110,000 seeds per unit. And the reason for that is the seeds are big, and you can't get 50 pounds of these in a bag without having the bag weigh 70 pounds or 65 pounds, and people don't like to pick those up and move them around. So in order, for packaging reasons, we put them in 110,000 seeds per unit. The bean itself, we've had for a number of years now. Agronomically, a really nice all-around bean, very good looking in the field, good standing, medium bushy, actually has some decent all-around disease resistance, including cyst nematode protection. Consistently has a protein above 42%, and again, yellow hilum. You'll also notice on this bean that it's guaranteed to be 99.9% free of GMO. So if you are growing soybeans on a food contract that has a stringent tolerance level for the presence of GMO, this bean will meet it every time, because it starts basically with no GM contamination. Note about that. So the rest of the beans you'll see have a badge that says 99% GMO free. That's the pure badge, like the 15B5 there on the left. In fact, all these beans are much cleaner than that. They're all going to be at least 99.5% free of GMOs, but we didn't want to create a third badge, so we just stuck with the badge system that we created for corn. But plant the beans with confidence that we are making every effort to provide you a seed that's not going to give you a contamination issue for marketability.
Good. Thank you, Mac. Just wanted to highlight real quick, we mentioned that these things have good yields, and we're not just blowing smoke here. Here's the proof. We put these things into a number of trials, both our own research trials and public research trials, as Mac alluded to, and we're competing very strongly with some of the best conventional and traded beans on the market that you can buy today. And we're right there, first place, second place, third, fourth. We're right there with them across a number of locations. So again, you're planting these beans with confidence that you're not just getting a conventional bean, but you're getting one with tremendous yield potential as well.
Thanks, Jake. Hey, Jake, is it free to put those beans in all those trials?
It is not. It'd be nice if it was, but it certainly is not. So we're like Mac, just said, it isn't free. We're putting every effort forward here, both with the seed and monetarily, to make sure that we're putting the best stuff in our lineup for you guys to plant. So, like I said, we're doing this with confidence, or we're presenting this with confidence that we really are researching and searching for the best possible yielding beans that we can give you. And this last one here in this section is is no joke either. 17B6, brand new this year. And I know some of you are probably thinking, how can you get rid of that 1718, which was really a strong bean. I didn't have anything against it. I think a couple of things that we're going to pick up here is better cyst resistance and with a few more bushels again. I think this is a nice little improvement over the 1718. I think a little bit better stress tolerant as you move west into some lighter, sandier ground. Again, that Peking gene for cyst tolerance really is a step above the old PI88 gene. So we're really happy that they've kind of improved those genetics to bring us some really high yielding varieties that are a little bit tougher out in the field to multiple stressors. So I think keep your eye on this one here. I think it's going to be a very nice addition / replacement to that 1718 and in our lineup overall.
Thanks, Jake. And that will conclude this section of Viking Non-GMO Soybeans. If you have questions about these or you'd like to order, please contact your dealer, whom you can find on our website. You're also welcome to call us directly. We're happy to answer questions directly. If you're interested in later soybeans, we have more videos you can learn about some of the later soybeans or our corn. And thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.